Alright guys, today we're going to be looking at the Eternal Bargain pre-constructed Commander deck from the Commander 2013 offering. This is Conqueror and Commander, and basically what I'm going to be doing is showing you the deck list and talking about what worked and what didn't, and how we can improve it. And this deck actually, the main commander for the deck is Oloro, Ageless Ascetic, and before I really get going, the deck is actually kind of got several different sort of like moving parts. It's got a real like life gain and sort of extort type ability aspect to it, based around Oloro. And then on top of that, it's also got sort of an artifact creature aspect to it based around Sidri. Now these two aspects have some overlapping parts, but really what it comes down to is that if you want to make it a more competitive deck, you should probably pick one or the other and push it in that direction. I'm going to take a look at it right now just from a basic Oloro standpoint and go over the basic categories of cards. First of all, this first pile here is all your life gain cards. Death Grasp isn't a bad card. Filigree Angel, unless you really want to push the artifact aspect of it, is kind of a really overcosted. I'm gonna move the stuff that I would remove over here. It's pretty overcosted for what it does. You know, it's an 8 mana flyer, and although it flies and it has helped me once or twice, I think there's better, more efficient cards out there as well. Actually, speaking of efficiency, the deck actually does have 41 lands in it, which is important because Oloro himself costs 6 mana, and his ability is actually kind of mana intensive as well. So I wouldn't mess with the 41 lands in the deck. The only thing I would probably do, other than spending some money on stuff like fetch lands and or shock lands or duels, is to add Bojuka Bog, which could help out with Graveyard Hate as well. And it's a free, you just take out a swamp and put the bog in. Looking back over here, Death Grasp is good, Wall of Reverence is good at gaining life, Divinity of Pride is good. Azorius Herald, I mean, it's a cheap drop, but hopefully you could do something better. I would probably take him out as well. Curse of the Forsaken, I was actually pleasantly surprised with. There's 27 creatures in the deck, and the deck has the ability to make more creatures, but the good thing about it is that it triggers for each attacking creature. And that works well when you've got Oloro out there and you want to draw cards. So you can draw and extort for every time you have a creature attacks. And while it's not good to let your opponents gain life, and sometimes curses aren't the best, I would actually keep this in the deck personally. Augury Adept is a good card, but doesn't have any sort of evasion. Survival Cache, meh. I mean, it triggers Oloro if Oloro's in play, but if it's not, it's kind of a dead card sometimes, so I would yank that. Pristine Talisman is a 1-card combo. Synergy, I guess you could say, with Oloro. You tap it to draw a card when he's out, and you just gain life, period. I'm fine with that. Sun Droplet seems kind of bad, but it can trigger constantly and help you out when you have Oloro out there, so I would keep that. However, the Disciple of Gristlebrand, I just think you could do better. Now, those are all your life gain cards, and Oloro himself is actually really good at gaining life, so you don't really need a ton of life gain. However, there are a bunch of cards here that benefit from your life gain. First, we've got Vizkopa Guildmage, who's just generally good. Ajani's Pridemate, I was shocked by how good it is as an early drop, but as a late drop, it's not very good at all. The interesting thing about it is that you don't get +1/+1 counters for every life you gain. It's just for each time you gain a life. And if you really wanted to like tweak the deck a little bit to have like more Soul's Attendant type cards or a lot more triggers like that, I would probably keep him in there. But I would, without that kind of stuff or a change, I would remove him. We've also got Sarah Avatar, who can be really big, but doesn't really do much else and doesn't really have a whole lot of a combo with anything. We can do better for 7 mana. Marrowbats, however, is a flying regenerator for 5 mana, and in this deck, he helped a ton, because I usually had a decent amount of life. However, he's just so fragile, I would probably yank him for something bigger, better, or more consistent. Sanguine Bond is good. Will of Lost Dreams is good card draw. Cradle of Vitality, very good. Greed is even good in this deck because of the amount of life gain you get. Now, looking at the artifact aspect of it, we have Sidri. If you want to use Sidri, you need to up your artifact count. You just don't have enough artifacts for him by himself, or her by herself. Tidehall of Strix is a decent defender. Thopter Foundry is crap. I don't like it. I've never liked it. Even when I have Sword of the Meek in my deck, I mean, it's just a slow, grindy combo. And there's no Sword of the Meek in here. If you want to keep Thopter Foundry, I would get Sword of the Meek and add some tutors. Tower Gargoyle, just too fragile, doesn't do enough. Sharding Sphinx, you know, again, it's a great card in an artifact-heavy deck. I used it in my Sharam deck, and the Sharam's in here as well, along with Sphinx of the Steel Wind and then Mere Battlesphere. I would take out Sharding Sphinx. I mean, there's other artifacts you can use to help you out. You know, Mere Battlesphere is just a good card. Sphinx of the Steel Wind, Sharam. These are all like good cards. Sidri is like, I don't know. I mean, if I'm sticking with Allura, I take her out. If I'm making her my commander, I leave her in and I put all these artifacts back in and I just put in more artifacts. So, you know, it's either one or the other. You just gotta kind of like pick your choice. There's a couple of reanimation cards. Razor Hippogriff isn't bad at all. It's got life gain as well. Phyrexian Delver is good. Tempt with Immortality was 50-50 for me. You know, it's a fun card to play with, so I would probably keep it in the deck, but it's not consistent, and so I'm not 100% sure. If you want to make it more competitive, I would probably take it out. Phyrexian Reclamation, however, is amazing, and I use it all the time. Additional card draw cards are brilliant plan. You know, you can upgrade it to like Opportunity or something like that. Deep Analysis, solid card. Diviner Spirit, I didn't like it. Nobody liked it. Everybody hated it. There's better card draw out there. Your removal is Darksteel Mutation. Yeah, I mean, I used it once or twice. It was okay. I guess I would keep it. Let's start at the top here. Nevinyrral's Disc is awesome. Nihil Spellbomb is awesome. Famine, no. Just take it out and put Damnation or something like that. Stormscape Battle Mage can do a lot for you, but like, you know, it's cool to be playing with a Battle Mage, the Esper Battle Mage. But you know, why don't you just play like Shriekmaw or something like that? I mean, the gaining 3 life doesn't do a whole lot. Shoot, I don't know. I keep him in just because he's fun and goofy. Active Authority, never drew it. Never drew it once. You know, you get to exile. The good thing about it is you get to exile 2 artifacts or enchantments, but then you get to hand it around as well. So this is really bad if you go the artifact heavy route, because people are going to start picking at your artifacts. However, you know, if you go more the Allura route with less artifacts, I think it'd be okay. Dromar's Charm has a lot of options and is pretty solid, so I'd keep that. Toxic Deluge is very good when you use Allura. You usually have enough life to do anything. And actually, it's a good enough card anyways by itself. It's probably include if you're using Sidri as well, so I would definitely keep that. Reckless Spite, you know, instant that destroys 2 non-black creatures. for the same cost as murder, you get to kill 2 dudes instead of just 1. You know, isn't there a new one that gets rid of planeswalkers too? I don't know. It was good enough. I'll keep it. We also got Swiftfoot Boots, Obelisk of Esper, and Soul Ring as your only. Soul Ring and Obelisk are your only 2 mana help cards. One thing I would do is I would add either Journeyer's Kite or Land Tax to help you with your mana issues, because if you don't consistently hit your early land drops, you're dead. This deck is dead if you can't do that, and you want to be able to do that. All right, this is kind of like my catch-all sort of like goofy pile. Well, let's start at the top here. Limdual's Vault is a keep because you can set up your draws. It's just a good card. It's a little bit like tutoring. You're going to want, if you can, to fit in a demonic tutor or 2, some sort of 1 or 2 more tutors. Serene Master, although I love the flavor of this card, is not good unless you're really trying to do pillow fort type stuff. So I would yank him. Kong Ming is a fun legendary creature, but you know, unless you're really going the token route, and this does have the deck does have the ability to make a few tokens with like Sharding Sphinx or one of the curses or Mere Battle Sphere. It just doesn't do enough. Hooded Horror, I just recommend you take out of every one of the decks that you have unless you're really horror themed. Spinal Embrace is a fun little combat trick. I would keep it. Phyrexian Gargantua, cool new art. I'm not sure it does enough for you. I'd keep it, I guess, though. Tidal Force. One of the things that I had a hard time with this deck was that some of the mana costs had a lot of colored mana requirements, and Tidal Force is another one of them. I just don't think the Tidal Force does enough in this deck to really help you out. Raven Familiar, I didn't like this card. I'd take it out. Curse of Shallow Graves, no. Don't need it. Curse of Inertia, no. Don't need it. Crawl Space, meh. I mean, Crawl Space isn't horrible. You know, would you rather have something like No Mercy? Probably. Moat, even, if you can. Something to prevent people from attacking you. Sphere of Resistance, that kind of stuff. But Crawl Space isn't bad. Order of Succession is a card that I wanted to draw and never did. I don't know. It just seems so random and goofy. I would probably take it out. So, you know, there's a good pile of stuff here that you can take out in order to make the deck better. A couple things that I would do to make the deck better, like I talked about. The first one is Land Tax and or Journeyer's Kite. Some way to be able to consistently hit your land drops. You know, both of those are good at doing that. The other things that I would probably do are, there's Land Tax. Possibly, if you wanted to push more of the token route, you could put Sharding Sphinx back in, and maybe even Thopter Foundry with Sword of the Meek, a tutor, and then do something like Soul's Attendant or something. I think that's the name of the card. Let's see. Yeah, Soul's Attendant. The good thing about Soul's Attendant is she triggers all the time. And there's another one. There's the one with protection from red and black. God, I'm freaking blanking on it. Somebody mentioned it in the comments. There's a chick from Meriden who does the same thing but has protection from 2 colors. I'd put that one in as well. You also kind of need like some bigger, badder, like game enders, I guess you could say, and or draw cards. So while I wouldn't put something like a Azami in, I think Drogskull Reaver would be amazing in the deck, because that's got lifelink and multiple draw triggers, and you're going to draw a crap ton of cards if you get this guy out. Yes, he is at the top of your curve. The curve itself, looking at the curve in the basic deck, isn't great, but it's not horrible. I mean, it's 3.81, and it could be worse. And like I said, that's not right. There's 41 lands in the deck. The deck out of the box plays okay, but it could just be focused a little better. So if you could put like a Drogskol Reaver or something, a little more defense to hide behind, and then some more card draw, like Sphinx's Revelation. I know I'm not like pointing out cheap cards here for you guys, or even Necropotence. There's Sphinx's Revelation would be good. Diabolic Revelation wouldn't be bad. Necropotence wouldn't be bad either to help you out with your draw and stuff like that. You know, cards that can like help you out early on. The colored mana requirements is a little bit of a problem, so Chromatic Lantern could probably help too. But honestly, like the deck is pretty good out of the box. Is it as good as like Devour for Power? No, it is not. You do have some problems where you get stuck behind. If this deck gets blown out, or if this deck falls behind early, it just gets blown out. Like you basically need people to leave you alone until you hit like 55 life or something like that. But it's actually pretty good, and I recommend it. And it's kind of fun to mess around with. One of the other reasons you need a consistent form of card draw, like Phyrexian Arena or something like that, is that because of the high land count, it's got 41 lands, you are going to hit pockets of land. You're going to hit like land after land once or twice. So that's also why land tax or additional card draw is really going to be good. So, you know, if you want to stick in a Planeswalker or two, there's nothing wrong with the Ajani's or Jace's or anything like that. Anyways, I had fun with the deck. Hope you guys enjoyed the videos, and if you have any recommendations for the deck, let us know in the comments, and we'll go from there. All right, thanks, guys.